Yo! What's up, everybody? It's Corey of the Grease Pole Podcast here for the Week 6 performance tiers. This was a big one. This was our guy Sirianni's biggest game as Eagles head coach. This was a game that, look, I know it's Week 6, but this shit had to be won. It had to, right? And at the end of the day, it was a little rough there in the third quarter going into the fourth, but the squad got it done, all right? 6-0 going into the bye week. 2-game lead on Dallas for the NFC East lead. The Giants are creeping up, though, which feels fucking weird to say. But that's where we're at going into the bye. So we're here now for the Week 6 performance tiers. If you want a reference point to the following tiers and why they're named what they are, click the link above my finger, and that will take you to the intro to the performance tiers and why they're named what they are. So let's get into fucking the Dallas Week performance tiers. As always, we start with the Dawkins tier. And where else to start this week but Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Second week in a row, he gets mentioned. And he was responsible for 2 of Cooper Rush's 3 interceptions on the night. One was that tip driller from Darius Slay in the second quarter. And the second one couldn't have come at a better time, late in the fourth quarter with the hockey assist of Brandon Graham. And, you know, CeeDee Lamb was wide open on that play, but BG forced the throw from Cooper Rush, which allowed Gardner-Johnson to snag his 3rd pick in the last 2 weeks. He also had that one last week against Arizona. And he added 4 tackles to his stat line on the night as well. So, big night for CGJ as he makes the Dawkins tier for Week 6. Also wanted to put Lane Johnson here. And he was absent for half of the game, but you saw him enter that medical tent late in the first half, and that was all from him on the night. He got ruled out with a concussion, and he had done an outstanding job of containing Micah Parsons, and then Jack Driscoll entered the game, and that's when shit started to change, because Parsons in that Dallas defense was getting to Hurts repeatedly, which forced our guy Sirianni to completely change up his strategy and almost abandon the passing game entirely in order to go run heavy to be able to combat the pressure from Micah Parsons and company up front. They continued to put Hurts on his ass. And you just see the value of Lane Johnson there when he leaves the game. All hell broke loose along the right side of the offensive line. Jack Driscoll tried his best. We'll give him credit. But, you know, look, Micah Parsons can be overwhelming, and you need an all-pro, on that side of the line to be able to keep up with him. And you saw that after Lane Johnson exited the game. So those are our 2 for the Dawkins tier this week. As we move on to the Chris Long tier, with Landon Dickerson. All right, and I'm partial. I love this dude. But he had the block that allowed Miles Sanders to score the first touchdown of the game. You know, when the fourth quarter came around, shit was tight. You saw a big 69 pull and smack Micah Parsons, which allowed Sanders to keep the chains moving. I loved this pick at the time, second rounder last year, in 2021. Loved the pick at the time. This was one of those picks that had to be made and is one of my favorite picks most recently by Howie Roseman. And this is a guy that should be a staple along the offensive line for the next 8 to 10 years, provided he can stay healthy. And absolutely loved his performance. He's had the illegal man downfield a couple times this year. We've mentioned him before, but good job out of him on Monday night against the Antichrist Cowboys. Also want to show some love here to Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator. And I love him as the play caller. It's nothing against our guy Sirianni, but Steichen seems to have a much better feel for when to call the perfect play. A perfect example of this is that option-style touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. I love Shane Steichen's feel for the game. He worked with Justin Herbert in his rookie year out in L.A., and you saw, look, Herbert's awesome regardless of who's coaching him, okay? But Shane Steichen had a role to play in that. Don't kid yourself. And I think flow-wise, the game has a better flow. The play calls have a better flow with Shane Steichen as opposed to Sirianni. It allows Sirianni to just be a true head coach and focus across the board and do the things that he does best. I also want to mention, and look, we show a lot of love to the Kelly Green on the pod, and we're geeked for the return of the Kelly Green. But that midnight green looks so goddamn good at night. It looks so good. I know the black gear is what tends to be worn a lot in division games, especially on prime time, Thursday nights, Sunday nights. But Man, that midnight green at the link looks so fucking sexy. There's something about it that looks good, that even though I want the Kelly Greens back as the primaries, that midnight green at night, there's just something about it. There's an aura about it, and it looks good. It looks fucking amazing on the TV, especially under the lights at the link. So, really good look, and shout out to the midnight greens to close out the Chris Long tier. The Nelson Aguilar tier. I'm going to go with running back usage here. And Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, and Boston Scott. You know, it tends to be a theme. Kenny Gainwell, you saw him on a 4th and short early on in the game where he came up short and, you know, they didn't convert, turnover on downs. I love Miles Sanders, and I'm not just coming at this from a Miles Sanders fantasy owner standpoint. I don't understand the knack of bringing your best running back out of the game in down and distance situations where it's 3rd and 4th down, you know, 3rd or 4th and short, 4th and goal, whatever the case may be. Miles Sanders is your best back. I get they have different skill sets, I do, but when you get in those short yardage situations and everybody's jammed up, you know, Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott are smaller, you know, and Miles Sanders isn't a power back as well, but he's the best back you've got. You've got 3 scat backs in a way. So why not use the best one that you've got? And I could understand if Miles Sanders was cheeks and pass blocking, but he's not. He could pick up a pass block as well. So this is just something I've seen over the last year and a half. And it's very frustrating to watch, especially when you do get a situation where it's 4th and short, Kenny Gainwell comes in and doesn't convert the fucking 4th down. So that's our Aguilar tier for this week. And moving on to the final tier, the cheeks of the cheeks, the Chip Kelly tier. Got to mention tackling here, all right? Rather a lack thereof, okay? It's been a lost art for the Eagles along the Eagles defense since the Jim Johnson days. And you saw it from Marcus Epps and even our boy in the Dawkins tier this week, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, on that Jake Ferguson touchdown. According to Pro Football Focus, they've got more missed tackles than any other team from the NFL entering Week 6 last week. And that doesn't happen by mistake, okay? You know, this defense came out hot against Dallas, and they shut down the run. You had PBUs left and right, and they caused Dallas to turn it over on 4th down. When it's at its best, this defense can stand toe-to-toe with anybody, but tackling is fucking fundamental. And you can't just try to hit stick dudes. You can't just throw your body at people. That's the problem now, is everybody's going for the fucking highlight reel clip, the highlight reel tackle, and it's just not. Look, man, it's boring, but if you wrap somebody up, man, fundamentals, there's a reason it works. You prevent so many fucking yards other than just fucking lawn darting yourself at somebody. It's become so frustrating to watch as somebody that grew up watching Brian Dawkins and that Jim Johnson defense and how vicious and aggressive they were. Guys like Jeremiah Trotter. You know, even further back than that, the Gangrene defense, Reggie White and those boys, Seth Joyner, that's the way, if you want to be a great defense, you have to be able to tackle. And it's a lost art across the league these days, but god damn, it's frustrating to watch this team just lawn dart at motherfuckers every week. So that's my rant for this week for the Chip Kelly tier. I'm tired of watching people fucking hit the X button to dive like it's Madden out there, but hey, we came away from a win. That's all we wanted, right? When it looked like it was starting off when it was 20-0 in the first half, you go, great, we're gonna fucking wax these motherfuckers, and that's what you wanted to see. Lane Johnson got injured, the flow of the game got disrupted, and things happen. You have to be able to adjust, and credit Sirianni and the coaching staff for doing so. You get out of the link with a win against Dallas, and you go into the bye this week. Lane Johnson hopefully has a week to recover, and hopefully he can come back next week against Pittsburgh and be at 100%. We can have, you know, all guns blazing against the Steelers next week. It feels good to go into the bye after a Dallas win. It does, and that's all you want. This was a huge game, and it was great to come away with a win finally against the Dallas Cowboys. What are your thoughts on the performance? Let us know in the comment section below. What are your feelings going into the Pittsburgh game next week as we sit currently in the bye week? Let us know in the comments section. Hit the subscribe button if you like. We've got more Eagles content coming your way, some Flyer stuff as well. So hit the subscribe button to stay tuned to that. And even if you don't, thanks for stopping by the channel. We greatly appreciate it. With that said, we will see you next time. Thanks for checking it out. As always, go Birds.